And today we're going to be talking about webinar sales strategies. Obviously, Untable uses this a lot, and so a lot of our audience has asked us to talk a little bit about why we use this strategy and why it works for us. But the primary reason why I enjoy using webinars as a sales tool is because content is a virtual sales rep. And so in order to scale a business, you really need to have a pretty significant presence in terms of virtual sales reps. And so essentially every piece of content out there buys you probably about an hour's worth of free sales time. And so this sales rep will essentially be your sales pitch, where they'll be communicating to your prospects and helping others understand your value. And it's also because it's great because it provides a consistent message that you can control and really scale with the right efforts. And so that's one of the main reasons why webinars are such a powerful tool for scaling your business, is because it allows you to create a virtual sales force. Now, a few webinars aren't going to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about how to work with that. But in addition, the videos need to be short. We can see that with platforms like TikTok, the shorter videos are actually performing better, just because the attention span of our audiences are going down over time. And so if you can be straightforward, something that's very simple, very direct, you're going to have a better outcome by shortening the videos. So what do we talk about? Well, primarily what you want to talk about are experiments or best practices. We talked a lot about in different calls about how to run experiments. But basically, whatever you're selling, you need to demonstrate how it changes a business. What does it do for that business? So you can talk about experiments, and what you've done is what type of impact or efficiencies have you created within those businesses. And so the topic needs to discuss, well, I made this change, I used this technology, and this is what happened, this is how we did it, this is how we measured it, and it just needs to be very high level, very straightforward. You can put together a white paper that provides additional details that they can download from your site. You can put a link in the description and mention that, but you want to be very high level, again, because of that attention span is pretty limited right now. So in addition to being very focused in terms of content, talking about experiments and how it can help companies, the smaller your audience is, the more likely they are to actually engage and watch a video. And so if you're trying to cater to a broad audience, you're likely not going to really capture much of an audience. And so in order to increase click-through rates, viewership, your videos need to be very specific. So if you can think about, maybe it's based regionally or based on a specific vertical or both, or a specific problem that certain companies have. So it may be dental offices that use Salesforce, for instance, and how that helps them. Something like that would be very specific, and it's going to resonate better with your audience, and it's going to have a better viewership. Also, this is going to be a numbers game. So 1 or 2 videos may get you a few hours of free virtual sales rep every month. So if you were to do 1,000 videos, obviously that's going to help you. And so you're not going to expect a lot from just 50 to 100 videos. You may see, 5 to 10 inbound leads a month from that, which is pretty significant. But if you were to scale this from 1,000 to 10,000 videos, you're going to have a much better result, because this is going to be a numbers game. So another thing you need to keep in mind is, while you're building your archive of videos and information, for the most part, your leads are going to come from an outbound sales strategy. So you're not going to see a lot of inbound, just because this is a numbers game. But by the time you reach 1,000 videos, you can't wait to create 1,000 videos for leads to start coming in. You need to start being proactive. And so use these tools by sending them out and sharing them with them. If we go back to the example of the dentist, if you're talking to dentists who use Salesforce, then use Untable.com/data to find dentists in the area that use Salesforce. And what you would do is you would send them the video and provide it to them directly. And so you can use this as a tool to basically have a full conversation with your client without actually having to get on the phone with them. That's essentially what we're trying to do with these videos. In addition, if you're doing case studies, interview your biggest prospects, talk to them, talk about the experiments, talk about what they're seeing in the industry. And so use this as an excuse to engage clients and create conversations, at least to invite them to the discussion. We've talked about squeeze pages in the past. Essentially what this is you're going to offer something to your prospects in exchange for their email address. And that offering needs to be strong enough for them to give that up. And so if your webinar content and information is strong enough, you should be able to filter all of the webinar views through a squeeze page. So a squeeze page is essentially it's a landing page where you ask the prospect for their email in exchange for the content. And that's why we have to be very specific and very relevant to what we're doing, because nowadays it's pretty difficult to have someone to convince someone to give up their email address. But if we do that, if we provide the right content, the squeeze page should enable that exchange to take place. And so in order to make this more worthwhile, we want to encourage individuals to register and request information and to send them that information via email in order to capture those emails and follow up. In addition, it would be helpful to also identify the user. So when you grab their email address, you can identify their IP address, which going forward you can see when they hit your site and who they are. And so that's always helpful to make sure that that's implemented within your website. Now, once you have their email address, what we're going to implement is what we call the sideways sales letter. And what this is your message is complex and big. And so if you try to communicate your value to your prospects all at once, it's not going to come across well. Your value needs to be hidden within the message. The message needs to be valuable enough for someone to actually digest it. And then your value proposition will then be hidden within that message. But if you try to give too much value and too much information all at once, you're going to lose your audience. It's an information overload, and it's going to feel like an advertisement. So sideways sales letters are essentially valuable information that comes little by little with tidbits about your business and how you can provide value to the conversation. So if you're talking about an experiment, it talks about one aspect of your business and how you help companies solve specific problems. But the problem in the experiment is what's the value, and then your product and your services and your business model and your knowledge base is the hidden message within that. But you're not going to talk about every experiment and every value that you have in a single conversation, which is why we call this a sideways sales letter. It's an incremental message that over time, your customer will be able to understand your value, and it also provides an opportunity to stay in contact with your prospects. Now, next time we get together, we're going to be talking about referral partners, which is really fundamental to any business. And an area that we're seeing a lot of success in lately is with merchant partners or POS companies. There's a lot of change taking place within this industry and a lot of opportunity, especially in the IT security space. But we're going to talk about the best practices of engaging and finding merchant partners and how to work together to solve a lot of the customers' opportunities. So that's everything for today. Just to recap, webinars are a great sales tool. It helps you create a very powerful virtual sales force because it's in a video format. They can get to know you. They can do a lot of the legwork and a lot of the communication on your behalf, making this much easier. So if you have any questions, if you need a copy of the slides, let us know. Until next time, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.